Hey, my name's Charlie. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com, and I want to keep this short and sweet on this 7th day of January 2016. Economic collapse, economic calamity, economic meltdown, economic downturn, economic breakdown. Call it what you will. It is here. It is here. And a lot of people, a lot of friends I've made over the years since 2008 have been talking about, this collapse. And I want to talk about it tonight because I want to drive home the realization that it is here. You better do something about it. It isn't going to be like anything you've seen before. 2008, a lot of us remember that, right? We're not so old that we don't remember that. If you're, 16 years old and younger, you might not remember it. But understand this. This game has been played before. Matter of fact, I just had a discussion with a good friend of mine about how throughout time in history and time immemorial, we've seen breakdown crisis and people that have led us to these crises that have benefited from it. And I don't think this is any different. I think this is a contrived, generated, understood, manipulated event that's occurring right now, and it is by design. In 2008, the last major crisis that we had, we saw a terrorist event occur that was on the scale of 9/11, if not worse. More people certainly have died because of the terrorist activity in 2008. We saw our government change from a representative democracy, for the most part. People will argue that, but a representative democracy to a fascist government that is controlled by corporate special interests. And it is controlled by the fact that they're going to tell you that you can't survive without us. We're too big to fail. If we fail, you're going to go down the drain. So what have we seen since then? Quadrupling or more of global financial debt. We've seen nations become more and more be servant and beholden to these global central banks, and the debt has continued to rise and increase, and the consumption and the progression and the growth of countries has continued to wane. Now, we've witnessed a miracle, right? A miracle in modern Keynesian governance, which is we're going to print money out of thin air. We're going to, perpetrate a fraud. We're going to continue to carry on, and that's exactly what we've seen. If we look at the national debt, we went from $9 trillion in the year 2008 to the tune of $19 trillion in 2016. We've seen credit card debt, even though on the increase, it has been surpassed by student loan debt. We've seen a nation so thrown in debt, it doesn't know what to do without a Federal Reserve willing to issue us that debt. And that's the critical thing. Without the Federal Reserve, we are screwed. Do you understand that? There is no coming back. There is no growing our way out of it. There is no, miracle plan in the Midwest for a Keystone Pipeline or anything else that is going to make things better. Without the Federal Reserve, without them reducing their interest rates back to zero or below 0 interest, we are screwed. And it's that way around the Western world. And now we see inside of China. Without this consumption, without this never-ending ability to purchase and to buy into the future, because that's really what it is, we're buying into the future. Without that, we're done. We're finished. It's over. Game over. At the end of the day, we end up with $20 trillion in reported national debt, and we end up with an American populace that is beholden and in servitude to a Federal Reserve who lent us that $20 trillion in national debt. That's where we're at, folks. Like it or not, believe it or not, that is exactly where we're at. 2008 was a warm-up. 2008 was an experience that we all went through in order that we could manipulate legislation to get to where we are now. Now is the time for global financial governance, and this is the message I want to deliver to you tonight, which is what's coming next is far worse than anything you could ever possibly imagine. And I mean that. Ever possibly imagine. The argument can be made that throughout time in history, we've had dictatorial governments that have went forward and done things have subjugated its people, and that is no different now. The key difference is this: the globe, every country on the planet, is behest and beholden to central banks. The debt level is larger by percentage and actuality than it has ever been in the history of humanity. So when this comes crashing down, as we see right now, it is going to be harder and farther and deeper and more painful than anything we've ever seen before. And at the end of that road, at the end of that tunnel, is going to be help. And that help is going to be a noose. And that noose you might as well place around your neck and jump off of the gallows, because it is in complete and total indentured servitude. You're going to give up everything in order to maintain normality. That's what it's about. What will you do in order to maintain normality? To keep the lights on, to keep the beer cold, to keep the football games flowing? Will you give up your soul? Because that's what it's all about. I had a conversation tonight with a good friend of mine, Craig Simpson. We do a podcast together called Guns and Politics, and we talked about this, and we talked about the Constitution, this Constitution, and the destruction of it, and what are we willing to do in order to survive as a free nation. And the question is going to come down to, are you willing to sacrifice everything? And I don't care how old you are. If you're 15 years old, if you're 95 years old, are you willing to commit and sacrifice everything? Because that's how this country came to be. That's how freedom came to be, as a form of governance on this planet. And that's what we need to decide if we're going to go forward as a free people. If you're going, not as a nation, as a free individual, are you willing to give up everything? And I mean everything, your life included. Are you willing to give that up in order to secure freedom for yourself, for your family, for the future of your family, for the future of your nation? Are you willing to do that? If you're not, then step aside. Go into the camp. Go into the horde of sheepledom that is going to bow down and worship at the feet and the grovel at the feet of government masters that are going to provide you with the essentials of life. If that is where you are a sheeple. You're ready to be clipped and neutered and processed in order to facilitate global governance. If you're willing to stand up and fight, if you're willing to do something different, if you're willing to sacrifice everything so that your child, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your loved ones can live in a free society, then get your mind around that fact. The time is now. It isn't tomorrow. It isn't 2008. It isn't 2040. Excuse me. It is now. The time is now to make your decision. Because unfortunately, sorry to say, the knock is coming at your door. And it's going to be not for your guns or not for your freedom of speech. It's not going to be for the food you have stored. It's not going to be for the pharmaceuticals that you've been talked into taking. It's going to be for everything you have, everything. Your soul. It's going to be for your life. It's going to be for everything. You can either give it all up and survive, right? You can give it all up and be put in and processed as just nothing more than a cog, or you can stand up and say, I've had it. I've had enough. These are the decisions you're going to get to make. This collapse we see going on right now, by design, predictable, going to happen, inevitable, whatever word you want to put behind it. This collapse we have going on right now is absolutely and completely irrelevant. Forget it. Ignore it. Pain is coming. Suffering is coming. The ability to determine your own future is what is at risk. And you need to wrap your mind around that, because unfortunately, if you haven't been listening to this program or this channel or any other independent media, and you haven't decided to that you wanted to wake up before now, your choices are real simple. They're super simple. You're either going to give it up in order to maintain some kind of normalcy, or you're going to fight. You're going to fight for your future. You're going to fight for your future and your family's future. There's your decision. There's nothing else. There's no middle ground. There's no going to vote libertarian and hope everything works out because you voted third party. There's no going to hope everything gets better. I'm sorry. It's too late for that. Here's your choice. You fight for freedom or you become a slave. I'll be back.